Are you at your Natty max? Have you hit your genetic ceiling? I'm going to tell you, you probably haven't. Too long, didn't read, you probably haven't. The other thing is, you probably have no idea if you have or not, because how would you ever truly test that? It's impossible. As all of you will be abundantly aware, with any endeavor in life really, initially there's really quick gains, then they slow down and they really diminish, and they continue to diminish until you get to the point of basically predictable, undetermined. You're not really sure if anything much is happening. When you've been training for a decade plus, you get into this territory of just, is what I'm doing leading to good muscle growth? I'm not really sure. And it's not until you cut back and compare like for like photos or even stage shots as a bodybuilder, then you get to identify some little subtle changes. But now you're in that territory of like, hey, you're above average because you've been doing this longer than the average person. And some people will like to say, hey, but what about the fat-free mass index? Wasn't there that kind of study that looked at, hey, if you're at 25 as a fat-free mass index and above that, there's no way you're natty? And honestly, this has been debunked. It's a really old paper and it doesn't hold, really. I think Greg Nuckols from Stronger by Science has done a fantastic breakdown of this if you really want to dig into it. But again, you just need to know that doesn't truly hold very well. I think in general, if you can get to a 25 FFMI, amazing. Like, not many people are going to be able to do that, and you are probably very elite if you can get there. And there are some people that are above that, and they are true elites, and there will be natural bodybuilders who are truly at 25 plus. But you have others, like myself. I believe I may be like a 23, somewhere around that, maybe 24. I don't know. I haven't worked it out. Again, it's nothing that I particularly care about. I don't see 25 as like, oh, everyone can get to 25 and that's my cap. No, most people won't be able to get to 25. Many can get above it, but far more are going to be way below it. And so that you can kind of pull away. Now, coming on to the discussion of our kind of natty max was, so Menno did the post, and this is what has brought about this video. I've spoken about like genetic ceilings and genetic potential and genetics in general a ton. As far as I'm concerned, my just basis of it is, you don't know your genetic potential, and if you love it, then just do your best efforts and you'll get the results you get. And that's basically it. You'll know if you're an elite, but past that, you're probably average. But if you go at something with above average efforts for above average length of time, you will become above average. That's how you differentiate yourself. But yeah, Menno had this new study. Is there really a natty max, and why? And so, come down to this. There is actually no hard evidence we have for a true cap on a muscle mass. He said the infamous FFMI of 25 came from one old study of men without any evidence that there was actually their maximum potential. Rather than having a true maximum, we may just run out of time to get more muscular before age eventually catches up with us. Because, I think people talk about sarcopenia, so muscle loss, kicking in when we're in our 30s, which definitely doesn't happen. You can just look at people like a Jeff Alberts, who has grown in his 30s and then kind of maintained into his 50s now. Or you can look at myself. I'm now 35, and certainly in my 30s, I was continuing to grow and progress. So that's definitely not a thing. Something I did want to point out that I thought was interesting from this is that Menno said, personally, I do believe we have a natty max, which, again, I'm not going to say we don't. And he thinks he's at his max potential himself, which I found really interesting that he thought he was there. I haven't got, I might actually get a photo of Menno and put it up, but I'm always interested when people think that they're at their top, because I made this comment. I said, I'm not convinced anyone truly gets to the max potential. I actually really don't think many people do. I think the vast majority of people watching this, myself included potentially, won't get there. I'm really trying to do everything I can to get there. But again, as I say here, it's impossible to ever know. Like, what can you can't do anything like, oh, I'm at 25 FFMI, that's my natty max. It's like, no, you can't know that. It might be 23. It might be 28. You actually just don't know. And I said, for most, and I truly believe this is a self-imposed limitation. And that comes back to my discussion on genetics. A lot of people are like, oh, I have bad genetics, and so I haven't grown as much as this person or that person. And the truth is, you're not at your genetic cap, and you really don't know how good your genetics are. They're probably average. And so I do think, unfortunately, it ends up holding people back, that mindset, more than helping them. So I just like to remove it as a barrier completely and have a much more positive focused mindset. And honestly, there's absolutely going to be some research on this in terms of the benefit of having like a positive mindset, a growth mindset, all of that. And having that having that like almost unlimited mindset of growth is a really good move. Now, you don't want to be ignorant to the fact that genetics are a thing, and you can't look at like a Brian DeCosta and be like, oh, like we have equal chance of being just as good at bodybuilding. It's like, no, he is a genetic elite. He is an outlier, but you're probably not there. And it's better actually just to focus on your process and making sure you're getting the best out of your process. That's what I've personally done to dramatically improve my physique from, again, I when I first competed at bodybuilding, I was not placing in novice shows, to then being able to a decade later compete and walk away with a pro card. Like, that's not really how most people go, but I think I'm a good example of someone who has just put in above average efforts for above average length of time and not given up on the endeavor. So I said we'd check out Menno's physique. It's kind of irrelevant as far as I'm concerned, because seeing his physique doesn't tell you that he's at his genetic cap or not. What it does tell you, though, is he's very well developed for a natural and is likely 90% plus of the way there. I just don't know how you would ever truly know. And I do think age generally caps you, where you start fighting against sarcopenia and like the regression of your muscle mass versus you hitting a cap. And I also think that a lot of people just get to this point where psychologically it's not worth the opportunity cost is too great. They're missing out on other things of life, and it takes so much time and effort to get the outcome. It's just not worth it to them, which is absolutely fair. That is a fair trade-off to make, because every year of investment in natural bodybuilding, generally, like, again, diminishing returns, and you almost have to put in more effort to get the same outcome. And I think also a lot of people get to this point where it could be their business, it could be family life, where those things take precedence, and they kind of are just holding and they're maintaining because now their sleep isn't as good. They haven't got as much time to put into things. Hey, we've got our picture of the podcast title there, which is cool. So yeah, I think most people just hit a cap of they're not willing to put sacrifice, and that's completely fine. The opportunity to cost is too great, and or life takes over, where again, business, other things become priorities, family, and then age kicks in, where it's like, hey, I'm now like testosterone's dipping, and I'm trying to maintain as much muscle as possible. And I think that probably kicks in. Maybe, I think it will probably depend person to person, but if we're just like someone who's really, really doing their best and they haven't got these other things that are stopping them progressing, that might happen in their, like, I think you hit probably like your best as a natural bodybuilder. When are you at your best? Probably 40, 45, and that's like your peak physique. And then after 45, as you're nearing 50, it's probably you're scaving off it, kind of diminishing a little bit at that point. But up until there, I think you can continue to improve, assuming you've got all the time in the world to like put towards it, or it's still a high priority to you. And so you are really putting forward great efforts. So in summary, I don't think that anyone actually gets to their true natty max. I certainly don't think you're there. I think a lot of people get close, but most fail to get 100% of the way there. And ultimately, we will never know. The 25 fat-free mass index is not something that everyone can get to. In fact, most people will not get there. Very few will get above it. And it isn't a natty cap. It isn't a natty max. It's on poor, outdated information. And it's been completely debunked. And so I think generally, when thinking about genetics and thinking about a natty max, it's something that's just fruitless. Like, it's nothing you can control. It's nothing you can change. All you can do is put your best efforts in and get the best outcomes you can hope for, and enjoy the process. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to adhere. And the best natural bodybuilders are the ones who have been doing it the longest. And if you are average, which you probably are, hence being average, if you put in above average efforts for above average lengths of time, you will be above the average person and the average results for whatever endeavor it is, which I think is a really nice thing to think about, as long as you enjoy the ride to get there. Finally, I did just want to highlight some other comments that came up because I thought they were interesting. It's like, there is no natty max. If the body can get to where it has with drugs, it can do it naturally. That's complete bogus. There's probably loads of people in the comments saying, like, unfortunately, you're an idiot, because there's absolutely no way that you can achieve the same results naturally as someone with drugs. Every person individually will get above their natural ceiling if they take sufficient drugs. Obviously other people saying, hey, Menno, you're not at your Natty max here. So yeah, it's like here, Menno, you're not at your Natty max potential. You're telling me you've been training your forearms perfectly for the past 15 years. It's true. Like there's to be at your Natty max, every muscle has to be maxed out. And like, you can't say you've been training everything everywhere perfectly optimized. Like, for example, everyone will know the example of powerlifters don't train their lateral delts very much. And so if they go into bodybuilding, it's often an area where they can almost see newbie gains. So it's like your, I don't know, anterior tibia, your tibia, whatever. If like, some people train that, I don't. So if I trained it, it would probably grow. Or my neck, like I've never done direct network. I might have done some shrugs, and obviously I've trained my traps, but if I train that directly, it would probably grow somewhat. Or if you never trained your forearms, again, probably there's some room to grow there. So I do think those are pretty interesting. And obviously I haven't even touched on the study, but ultimately I don't think it's going to be particularly insightful or helpful for many of you or me. I just think the highlighting the discussion of the Natty Max was what I was interested in, and also that Menno thought he was at his potential. And guys, that's really it this time. That's all I really wanted to make this kind of vlog about, was just, hey, my thoughts surrounding the Natty Max, FFMIs, genetics in general. That I think that discussion isn't wholly helpful. I think being rational about who you are and your potential and stuff, but also being honest about how good are your efforts. What have you been doing? I've certainly had like people who haven't been doing this very long look at me and be like, that I've had some people think that that's very achievable for them. And then I tell them, like, I've been training basically 20 years with the vast majority of that very dedicated towards bodybuilding. This is my career. I'm a professional bodybuilder. Like, I take this very seriously. So unless you have better genetics than me substantially, it's going to be really hard for you to get to the point I'm at. But equally, people have seen me and they're like, man, you're clearly on roids or whatever, like steroids, because of the results you got. It's like, but then I tell them the context of how long it's taken me to get here, the effort that I've put in, and they're like, oh, maybe it sinks in a little bit that they haven't been doing it. You wouldn't look at like Elon Musk and be like, oh yeah, I can achieve that one day. It's like, not that to compare my bodybuilding results to his results out there, but he's obviously a freak of nature and has put a lot of time and effort into achieving that. Yeah, there's a lot to it. So anyway, guys, enjoy the process of bodybuilding, learn your physique and what's working well, and just enjoy the ride, and don't worry about genetic ceilings or limits. Don't cap yourself. And yeah, so long as that kind of opportunity cost is right for you, keep going, because I truly don't think there is no more gains on the table for you unless you're getting into your 50s, basically. So cheers, guys. Catch you in the next one.